So, ladies and gentlemen, the financial system of the United States, the savings and loans, the banks, the pension funds, the mortgage system, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, FHA, United States Department of Agriculture, the USAID, State Department, blah, 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 have been robbed. There's been a giant robbery for trillions. It's been going on for decades. It involves immensely the subprime mortgage markets, where extremely crooked international banks use no down payment, 125% financing, no docs, robo-signed, predatory foreclosure loans. They use these extremely aggressive lending and marketing campaigns to lend money to people they know damn well can't pay it back. And then they wind up with freshly repossessed real estate, and over and over and over and over it goes. They churn it. This is how the laundering's done. This is how money laundering's done on a grand scale. And you know, my experience in this whole thing goes to the Texas land swindles, the Texas mortgage fiascos. Goes back to the 80s. And today there's one down there called Colonia Ridges, also known as Colony Ridges. It's just one of thousands of those crooked land developments where thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been swindled, foreclosed on, and then they churn the property again, and they churn the property again, and they churn the property again. You can look up the litigation on the search engines of planet Earth. And this brings me to my point. The United States Attorney's Office in Houston and the FBI office in Houston and the Texas State Attorney General's office in Houston and the local authorities and the news media and television stations and the Houston Chronicle and the Conroe Courier, they know me very well. They know me very well. And my message to Pam Bondi and my message to Kash Patel is very simple. It's the same message I'm giving to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau and the Attorney General of the state, Ken Paxton. Judson Witham, this guy right here, has been exposing this stuff for decades. But the Harris Mafia, out of Cut and Shoot, New Caney, Conroe, the Harris Mafia have been engaged in, it's the same old scam. Dirt dealing, land flipping, churning, and bait and switch, bait and lure, sucking in the consumers to play land scam, land swindle games. Ken Paxton. Does AD Downer still work for the AG's office? Let's see, Greg Abbott, John Cornyn, Jim Maddox. Is Jim Maddox still around, Ken Paxton? We need to talk to Jim Maddox about Judson Witham. We get a hold of Congressman Jack Fields, if he's still alive, and Joe Barton out of Conroe, Congressman Joe Barton. And the list goes on and on and on, from the Montgomery County Judge's Office, Keogh. I go all the way back to Alvin Stahl and Judge Jimmy C. Edwards III. Barb Sadler knows damn well, and so does it Nelda Luce Radabow Blair. Yeah, and I'll tell you who's really up on this material. That would be Patrick Lovell, Professor William K. Black, the Dan, I guess it's the Dan law firm, Eric Vaughn, and that New Untouchables, the con. They know very well what I'm talking about. And here's Linda Miner, a good friend of Catherine Austin Fitz, the former director of FHA HUD. Kathy Fitz, she knows damn well that I know exactly what it is that I'm talking about, and that is this. The government's been involved in this massive, unbelievable robbery. You want to talk about a robbery, Kathy Fitz? Let's go on national television with Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. And we'll talk about the great, big, huge cover-up and whitewash of how the Epstein and Company and the Clintons and the Trumps and the Bushes and the Obamas and the Bidens, all of them are involved in this crap. It's called RICO, REALTY, the money scamming history of American real estate fraud, bank looting, and money laundering. Oh, hell yeah. And I'll tell you how I know, folks. My parents were real estate developers in northern New York in the Adirondacks, and I spent a lifetime working for the biggest home builders in the nation, including this Pulte, and, Pulte Homes. Yeah. I worked for Pulte Homes. I worked for General Homes. I worked for U.S. Homes. I worked for Nash Phillips Scopus. I worked for a huge number. I worked for Mitchell Energy and Development. Let's see. I worked for Century Development. I worked for Tramwell, Crow. I worked for, the Triad, Drago, Diak. That goes to my George Bush family and friends there. The old George Bush Jr., Drago, Diak, and the Triad. Ask, Donald Trump. Let's talk about the Triad construction outfit with George Bush and Bill Clinton. The Triad. Damn well, Donald John Trump, what I'm talking about, pal. So, folks, the information, the links you need are below. And remember one thing. Catherine Austin Fitts is claiming 55 trillion. And this guy, Patrick Lovell over at the Con, he's talking about the $71 trillion truth. Well, here's the truth for you, ladies and gentlemen. This guy right here, the guy that sort of looks like, Leonardo da Vinci. Nice beard, huh? Yeah, I spent a lifetime in the real estate development game. A lifetime. And my work and my investigations and my publishing and my writing, I dare anybody to critique it, because I got a whole bunch of witnesses. Millions. I have millions of witnesses. And I've been doing this long before the new Untouchables and the Con. I was doing this long before Solari was formed. Catherine Austin Fitts. And for William K. Black, you got hired by the RTC, FDIC, FSLIC, whatever it was, in the late 1980s. I've been exposing this crap since the late 1970s, early 1980s. Long before you got hired, William K. Black. So put that one in your pipe, Bill Black, and smoke it. And you can get a hold of Peter Bruton, the mafia, the CIA, and George Bush. He wrote that book out of Houston, Texas. Isn't that fascinating? And Martin Mayer, the greatest bank robbery ever, and Gretchen Morgensen, reckless endangerment. I go all day long naming other investigative reporters, like the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. The Panama Papers. Exactly. Where they got a lot of their information over at ICIJ? That'd be this kid right here. And do I have proof? And the answer is yeah, I do. Whole bunch of emails to the ICIJ about this. The Daily Beast. Let's see. Go all day long. New York Times. The San Francisco Examiner, I guess it's called. The St. Petersburg. I forget what the heck the name of that crew is down there in Florida. Yeah, exactly. Houston Chronicle, Houston Post. Conroe Courier, pretty fascinating bunch of work in the Conroe Courier. And if you have questions about me, just go ask State District Judge Kathleen Hamilton up at Conroe and ask her about Witham. Yeah. I knew Judge Kathleen Hamilton back when she was working for Peter Spears, the district attorney in Conroe, with danced around in his underpants at Del Lago there. Old Jimmy the Dozier, man, he remembers me. And here's one, if he's still alive, I don't know, Sheriff Joe Corley, Sheriff Guy Williams, Sheriff, what's his name there? Doolittle, I guess his name is. Yeah, Sheriff Doolittle. He knows who I am. And one of my favorites is Judge Alan Barb Sadler. Now, there's one for you. And Al Stahl. I go back to Alvin Stahl, you know. But in any event, information and links you need are below. And remember one thing. It's not a economic problem we have. Kathy Fitz is calling it a giant bank robbery. Elon Musk. Take notes, Doggy. The Department of Government Efficiency, Dog E. Take notes.